Hello, everyone. This is just a video to bring you guys up to speed as to what's going on and where we are. Most of you already know that parts 3, 4, and the abbreviated part 5 that I put up on YouTube were taken down, and they were also recently taken down as 48 hours ago on Facebook as well. They did leave part 1 and part 2 on, but the full part 5 was never released on YouTube because we knew that that would be censored. So there are a couple of announcements that I want to make, and I want to tell you about part 6 that's coming out and will be released sometime on April the 11th, which is this coming Saturday. Now, part 6 is going to cover a number of different things. Obviously, it's going to talk about the self-empowerment aspect, but we're going to talk about what the doctors in the trenches are saying. I did share this with our private IADFW group on Monday's broadcast, on the private broadcast. But I'm going to go into more details. There are more and more doctors talking about what's going on and are coming out and sharing the truth. I'm also going to talk about a little bit more about what the science shows and a little bit more detail regarding the studies as far as testing procedures go, and also what the studies are showing as far as the outcome of this coronavirus issue. And more people are coming to the same conclusion that this is ludicrous. This just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go through some of the science of that. And I'm going to also talk about what's being covered up. Now, we know that the media misinformation is an issue. We're going to talk about the alternative media, if you will, even some of them that are putting out misinformation because I think they're seeing this as an opportunity for them to promote their business or whatever that may be. So beware of the agenda. This is like people talking about the need for stored food, and they may be right, they may not be right, but the point is this fear mongering. And I believe that in the next 30 to 60 days, we're going to either have an incredibly beautiful and better situation, or it's going to be Mad Max time. And I can't feel the Mad Max aspect. I can tell you that 99% of me feels like it's going to be an incredible, incredible new world. But it's only going to happen that way if we do what's necessary. And that's what part 6 is going to talk about, some of those things in detail. We're going to go also into the imprinting aspect, the training aspect, what they're doing to entrain our brains into accepting many of these ludicrous things. We're going to talk about the social distancing aspect and what's really behind that, the altering cause of death on death certificates that now a number of other doctors are coming out and talking about. And I'm also going to talk about what the doctors in the trenches in New York, the ones that are friends of mine, ER docs and ICU docs, are giving me feedback, what they're telling me. We're going to, again, as I mentioned, talk about the testing aspect. We're going to talk about fear mongering. We're going to talk about the World Health Organization, what they have done. And now one of the senators has come out and asked for an investigation behind the WHO. But I'm actually going to show you what the WHO's message has been. It's unbelievable what they're saying now. And I want you to be aware of it. It just came out yesterday. President Trump had already committed to funding WHO, and now he's pulled the funding back. And I think it's a direct response to what the WHO is now saying that they're going to do. And it is seriously a call to arms if this happens, which I don't think it's going to happen now. We're also going to talk about the treatment aspect, what's being recommended, and the agenda with the hydrochloroquine and zithromax combinations, as well as some of the other components, and them saying, well, there's no scientific studies behind using that protocol, as if there is a scientific study to establish the safety of the vaccine that they're trying to mandate, or that's coming down the pipeline that they're talking about is going to be released. So we're going to go into the specifics on that. We're going to go specifics as to the media's attack or media's hype, what Fauci is saying, and the lack of evidence. You can't even call it pseudoscience. You use the word science and there is just hypocrisy. And of course, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about the vaccines. And then we're going to go into some specifics on part 6, and we're going to talk about what the real treatments are, what you can really do from a active treatment as well as from a preventative aspect. I've already mentioned that during the live broadcast that I did last Saturday. And lastly, we're going to talk about the real issues. We're going to talk about the implications of the radio frequency electromagnetic fields, whether it's direct relationship to the 5G, indirect relationship to the 5G, whether it's the radio frequency and electromagnetic radiation contaminations, whatever the different components are, we're going to talk and go into some specifics as to what the agenda is, and I'm going to spell it out in more detail. Lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about things that you can do to protect yourself from those components and go into some specifics regarding the lack of validity on the vaccines, all right? And then the last thing we're going to talk about is why you should not accept this garbage that's being put out to us. We're going to talk about the most important component as far as law enforcement is concerned and the role of the sheriffs in the United States and what's necessary for that. I mentioned some of that briefly in the previous time that I did the live broadcast. We're going to bring you up to speed as to the potential for the lawsuit that I mentioned in the Instagram post, what the purpose is to divide us as far as the social distancing is concerned. And then also I'm going to make the announcement as to where all these files will be downloadable and that you can then spread them far and wide. You can have them on your own devices. Yeah, we've already got the first 5 on advanced medicine and basically giving you guys access to that. And then I'm also going to announce a new hashtag. And that hashtag, the goal behind the hashtag is that we can all start to make specific announcements, make specific posts that everyone can get behind. And that hashtag is going to be essentially a call to awaken, a call to be aware and to be cognizant of what's happening. So all that stuff's going to be coming down the pipeline in part 6, which will be released on April the 11th. Now things are really, really moving fast. So I want to cover a couple of other things that were issues and make sure that you're all on the same sheet of music. One of the YouTube channels, Video Advice, that had done one of the versions, a condensed version of one of my videos. I think it was on part 3 that they did. And that video got a tremendous amount of traction. I think it was around 800,000 or 900,000 views within a few days. And that was just recently taken off as well. That was censored. Anonymous actually did a video, and I believe that video is still up there and doing very well. So this was 4 days ago and 1.2 million views. So his video is still up there.
Is about the scientific corruption that you as the public must realize.
1.26 million views. So that's a place that you can go to. And I don't know, there's some other websites and some other YouTube channels that have covered the synopsis, but at least you can see that and go visit those channels. But they are putting out the good information and they are not concerned about being censored, but there are many other people that are talking to me to set up interviews. And I'm amazed, even though these bodies and these entities and these stations are known to be pro-information, it's still amazing to me that they're talking to me and they want to make sure that I steer clear of this topic or that topic. And I've basically told them that, hey, if you want to just censor me, I think I'm fine with Facebook and YouTube censor me. I don't need you to censor me. So I'm turning down those requests for interviews. But there are other people that are coming out of nowhere. People like Dominic Izzo, people like Mark Bell. They've come out, they've interviewed me, and they are true patriots and they're true heroes because they don't care about the ramifications. They just want to get the truth out. It's in fact funny that Mark Bell's got something that count down to 0 because he's had such a lot of flack. He's never put out anything political before. It's all a wellness, fitness, lifting site, and his channel I think has about 500,000 people, but he's gotten a lot of flack, but he's putting the information out. So anyway, I thank those people for the rest of the people out there that supposedly are the beacons of journalistic integrity, and they're out there putting out good information. And then when it comes down to this, they want me to make sure I don't talk about this or talk about that. You know, it's an embarrassment, but anyway, I'm not playing that game. So let's talk a little bit about some of the issues that people have had. There have been a couple of things that have come up. So the first thing is that if you go to AskDrButtar.com, this is what you'll come to. You'll come to a page that looks like this, and we want you to fill out this information, mostly because we want to make sure the information you get is only going to be pertinent information. But you'll see this component right here about the 5 videos already on the COVID-19 conspiracy. And it's just an image there so you know what we're talking about. And there are a couple of questions that we want to know specifically about whether you're law enforcement, military, and if you want to help, if you want to participate in any other manner. And then a little bit about the Advanced Medicine Conference that's coming up at the end of May. Now, when you hit submit, it's going to take you to this page right here. Now, I'll tell you that I think now I know why there was such a confusion. There were a lot of people, hundreds of people saying that they couldn't get the invitation code, and yet there were thousands of people that did get everything they needed and got where they were supposed to get to. So I think what was happening was there was a pop-up that was coming up on this page. We've taken that down so there's no confusion. And this is what you're going to come to when you're on this page and you submit, you hit the submit button, you're going to come right here. All right. When you're here, what I want you to remember is that there's a lot of information because there's a lot of different thought processes people have. Certain people have certain interests in certain other components. The first thing is it's going to talk to you about the head map. The head map is the advanced health evaluation, that the health assessment tool that we have. It's basically a head map is an acronym that stands for Advanced Health Evaluation and Assessment for Detoxification Medical Assessment Program. And this has been called the most informative health assessment that anybody can take. It's been valued at $300 every time you take it by a third-party actuarial analyst for an insurance company. And even though that's what they've said that it's worth and that's what they recommended that we charge, it's completely 100% free for everybody. I will not see a patient in my clinic unless they've done this form, and they do it every month basically in the clinic before they do a consultation with any of the providers and any of our clinics. But this is an assessment tool that you have free access to, whether you're doing chemotherapy or radiation, or you're doing a nutritional treatment, you're doing some other type of protocol, you're doing a pharmaceutical intervention, you're standing on your head and you're chanting a mantra. It doesn't make any difference what you're doing. This tool will allow you to measure efficacy of that treatment. How well is that treatment? Whatever the treatment is that you've decided to partake in, how well is that treatment working for you? And two, it will evaluate the function of your organs of detoxification and assess the level of burden that your system is under as far as the organs of detoxification are concerned, and will allow you to measure your progress, whether you're getting better or worse. So that's what this tool is. It takes about 45 minutes to go through it each time. But remember, garbage in, garbage out. So you got to make sure that you take the time that's necessary. It's completely free to you. So when you create your dashboard to see these other videos, you'll have free access to this. I wanted to make sure everybody understood that.